Yeah, Gormaigat, Blascahirlik, and Minister, I would like to welcome you to the House this afternoon and thank you sincerely for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here this afternoon. The topic I wish to discuss with you today is one that you and I would have discussed numerous times. That is in relation to the chronic lack of respite services for children with disabilities in County Monaghan. And as you know, Minister, parents are at their wits' end. They're exhausted. They're at the end of their tether, looking after and caring for their loved ones, and that's something they'll do as long as they're fit to do it. But the availability or the lack of availability of respite services is one that is really hurting those people. And the lack of services in County Monaghan is one that has been there for many long years, long before you took up office. But I would like to put on the record my sincere thanks to you, because every time I mentioned this particular subject to you, you have always had a very listening ear and have attempted on every occasion to try and find a solution. And I know you have been working on one. As you know, Minister, for any child that has a disability currently in County Monaghan, there is no respite services available there. So the only option to them is to go to Cavan and try and find respite services at that location. Now, if the service were available in Cavan, that would be fine. We could live with that. But unfortunately, the respite service for children with disabilities in Cavan is only available every other week. I understand that from the recent figures that approximately 33 children with disabilities have received respite services in Cavan. They could be doing with many more hours, but those hours are not available. And currently there are 57 people awaiting on a waiting list for respite hours, but unfortunately they're not available. And it's estimated that in actual fact many more are looking for that service, but don't even come forward because they know that service is simply not available. So clearly it indicates that we have a serious problem, and it's one that needs to be addressed with a matter of urgency, in my opinion. We need, first of all, to address the chronic shortage that's there at the moment, and secondly, and running concurrently with that, we need to find a solution, and we need to find a service in Monaghan for those children and for those families that so richly deserve it, because I know you've met those families. I know that you know what those families are going through on a daily basis, and God knows they need a break. And I would like to get an update here this afternoon for the work that I know you've been doing behind the scenes. I know you have met with the HSE. I know you have met with the families, because I've attended those meetings. And I would like here this afternoon for you to give an update as to where that particular situation is at the moment, and hopefully you might have some good positive news for those families to latch on to. Cormac.
Minister, will respond, but can I just welcome to the gallery we have Richard Donoghue and Dan Mulhern, who's in from Australia, I believe. You're most welcome to Shannon today. Thank you for coming all the way from Australia. An equally longer distance, but not as long as Australia's, from Kerry. And could I welcome Deputy Michael Healy-Rae and his guests to the gallery as well. You're most welcome to Shannon. Thanks for being here. Minister, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. And can I start by thanking you, Senator Robbie Gallagher, for raising this important issue that is before the House today. Respite services for me is a priority. Respite services for me is a priority all over the country. And to be quite honest with you, the lack of respite services when I came into this portfolio was one of the reasons that I did make it a priority. And what you have identified and what you're speaking about today in relation to your own county of Cavan, there is no doubt that the current arrangement cannot stay as is. The status quo cannot stay in place, where we have 2 counties sharing children's respite on alternative weekends. It is no longer acceptable that Annalee House can provide children's respite every second week. That is why I would have tasked the HSE in 2023, and particularly in your own area of CHO1, to draft up a current need of actions to do with respite in Donegal and Sligo, Leitrim, Cavan and Monaghan. And to be very fair to the disability manager in your area, Edel Quinn, she prioritised the case The case of needing a children's respite house in the county of Monaghan, a standalone, can I tell you that that has gone forward to the HSE with her recommendations and with my addition recommendations. And as I stand before the House here today, we have allocated and sourced 15 million in this year's budget. And for me to find acceptable, I do not, that children would have to have alternative weekends in your area. So this is now a priority. The priority of funding has been ring-fenced. And can I just tell you that? The priority of funding has been ring-fenced, that Anna Lee House can become an adults-only service, so as we can provide respite to the families, not every second week of adult children, but every week. And at the same time, the procurement of a new house for children in Monaghan. That will mean we will be able to provide respite to 85 families. So if you're telling me there's 57 already waiting, there's 36 in receipt, we should just hit the baseline of their requirement. We won't over-exceed it. But 85 is when you have a fully functioning service that works 7/7. Currently at the moment in Steadfast House, they are providing 840 bed nights. It's only in operation 36 weeks of the year. It is not going 7/7 by any manner or means. But to be very fair to Edel, she has funding available if the staff can be sourced, that can go at full tilt, that we in the interim can provide additional resources there as well. But the capital piece and the revenue piece to operationalise a service in your county, the funding is there. It is ring-fenced. It has been made, the case has been made to National Office, being supported by my office, being supported by the Disability Manager. Now it's a matter of actually putting plans into action. Funding is not an issue.
Thank you very much, Minister. Senator.
Yeah, Gormaga, Tara, Minister, I'd like to thank you for your very positive response. And as I said at the outset, this has been a problem for many a long year, long before you came into office, something over 3 years ago. But I would like again to thank you for taking on board the issue that particularly arises in County Monaghan and indeed to a lesser extent in County Cavan as well. And that's positive news that this 15 million that you refer to is ring-fenced, and that hopefully, you mentioned Steadfast House, you and I spoke about Steadfast House. They're only operating 36 weeks in a year, but they have capacity, subject to staff being available to do more, and I welcome that as well. And the new facility for County Monaghan is very much welcome. One final question, and I'm not putting your head on the block here. Time frame wise, would you estimate when do you think that facility, that new facility for County Monaghan that is much needed, when do you think that facility will be up and running?
Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair, and you're welcome. To be quite honest with you, there's two ways of answering that question. If it's a Section 39 or a Section 38 organisation that can go out and purchase that property in conjunction with the HSE, that can be turned around really, really quickly. If it is HSE estates that I must depend on to deliver that project, I will wait. So my ask would be that we would partner with a 38 or a 39 that is already delivering services, that already knows the families in that area. That can be operationalised very, very quickly, Senator. The revenue funding is there for it. So if there was a property that was a 4 or 5 bedroom house that actually could be repurposed into providing that respite care. Normally when we look at respite care, I look at the 2 front door models for children that have mild to moderate and the children that have more sensory needs. But your disability manager, who I have full confidence in, Edel, will certainly make that priority. And Chair, with your little bit of flexibility, we are also working in relation to your day services in Monaghan. That is getting a full priority within my department at the moment. I do know that Anya Kilroy inside the department is working furiously to address the shortage of day service need in your area, so that we are building capacity, because your constituents there knows that there is a capacity issue coming down the tracks, and we are trying to be ahead of that.
Thank you very much.